Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another entry into the Space Marine Chronicles. So this series is where I basically do a painting video on a random Space Marine chapter and then give you a little bit of background information on their lore, so you guys can learn a little bit more about what these chapters are, how they fight, how they operate, where they came from, and if you like them so much, a guide on how to paint them up. Now, the chapter that I've chosen to paint today is one that I do not like. I think their lore is ridiculous, and I think that they're a stain on the name that is Dorn. And that is, of course, the Crimson Fists. I'm only joking. I don't really think that they're trash. I just think that they're nowhere near as cool as Black Templars and Imperial Fists. And I think their lore is a little bit weird and sad, and I'll go through that a little bit in the video itself. I've been asked to do this a bunch of times by one or two people in specific, and those people know exactly who they are. So I'm finally doing this. You guys will get off my case. So hopefully this is everything that you'd hoped it would be. Before I get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my patrons. I hope you guys are enjoying the extra content that you do receive. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel and helping me grow bigger and stronger every single month, then I recommend that you do check out that Patreon link down in the description below. You get access to a private Discord server where you can talk to me about your hobby on a daily basis, ask for advice, tips, tricks, be involved in the showcases and all sorts of things like that. And also you get an extra vlog style video every single day from me, letting you know what's going on with the channel and how you can help it grow bigger and stronger, directing its videos, what I make and what I don't make. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, like I said, check it out in the link below. Okay, without further ado, let's get stuck in and paint this silly Crimson Fist. Okay, the Crimson Fists, what can I say about them? A lot, to be honest with you. I'm a proud son of Dorn, with both Imperial Fists and Black Templars forces at my command. Both beautiful and glorious chapters. And then, of course, we have the black sheep of the family, which is the Crimson Fists. Now, why do I call them the black sheep of the family? Well, they're kind of a bizarre Space Marine chapter, especially their history and their lore. So most of my information comes from two major sources, which is of course the Warhammer Wiki and then of course the Lexicanum. These are the two main kind of websites to gather information from them, and they have varying kind of degrees of information on them and how they present that information. For instance, on the 40k wiki page, it describes the Crimson Fist as a loyalist Space Marine chapter and a second founding successor chapter of the Imperial Fist Legion. The Crimson Fists until recently were a chapter on the edge of extinction, its fortress monastery destroyed and its numbers all but annihilated when the Orc-Waaagh Snagrod descended into the Loki sector. Which doesn't really kind of shed any real light on what actually happened. So in the defense of Rin's world, they did indeed bunker down inside of their fortress monastery, as any good Space Marine tactician would tell you, especially a proud son of Dorn. The strongest place to fight from is something that is quite well armed and armored. But unfortunately, their fortress monastery was destroyed. And more than 600 Space Marines of their chapter. Remember, a chapter is only at full strength, 1,000 Space Marines strong. And 600 of them died from a single missile, which destroyed their fortress monastery and themselves. You may wonder how the hell orcs got their hands on such a powerful missile and how they managed to get it through all the shields and all that kind of jazz to actually destroy the Space Marine fortress. Well, in actual fact, it wasn't the orcs. It was the Crimson Fists, who fired one of their own rockets and missed, hit their own monastery and destroyed pretty much most of their chapter. Now, there is, of course, some sort of information based around the fact that this may have been assassins sent by the Inquisition that may have caused this kind of malfunction in the missiles and stuff like that. Is that true or not? I'm not really too sure. There's some other quite bizarre kind of sources of information that comes around the Crimson Fists, such as the fact that they are considered to be the lackeys of the Inquisition. So much so that they've in fact destroyed 2 Space Marine chapters on orders of the Inquisition. One's of course being the Sons of Gideon, which had turned traitor, apparently, a renegade, apparently. Do we know the full details of that? No. The Inquisition said they were renegade. That was enough information for the Crimson Fist, and the Crimson Fist destroyed them. You want to take from that whatever you want, that's fine. The other ones, of course, were the Marines Vigilant. The Marine Vigilant had their minds wiped by an alien race, and they refused to fight. And I would have considered this a bizarre thing. Perhaps they could have fixed them. Perhaps they could have retrained them. Perhaps they could have re-indoctrinated them and used that entire Space Marine chapter again to help defend the already beleaguered Imperium. Remember, this all happened before Belisarius Cawl showed up with his Primaris reinforcements. This is when the Imperium is on the brink of destruction. It's on its knees, surrounded by enemies on all sides. Still is, but very much closer to defeat. But did they take in the Marines vigilant? These proud Space Marines who have not committed treason, who have not fallen to the supreme power, nothing like that. They've just had their memories wiped. What could they do with them? Nothing. The Inquisition said go in and destroy them. So, of course, the Crimson Fist said, aye, aye, Captain. Marched in for the Inquisition and wiped them out. These things are just I don't like this at all. The Imperial Fists don't like the Inquisition, and the Black Templars certainly do not like the Inquisition. And I think these two Space Marine chapters of the Sons of Dorn, I think, are a little bit more trustworthy. So when all that information is kind of read and absorbed when you've read the Rindsworld novel, there is even another further bit of this, that even after the Rindsworld fiasco happens, the last surviving members of the Space Marine chapter did decide to follow the orcs that were retreating at this point after the intervention of many other Space Marine chapters to basically do their work for them, up into the hills to try and wipe out the orcs. And they got completely surrounded, cut off, and were about to be destroyed yet again. But of course, there was an intervention from an outside source which did once again save the Crimson Fist chapter of Space Marines, and that was the Eldar. So they had to get saved by the Imperium, and then they had to get saved by the Eldar, and so on and so forth. Now, this is all just jibes and good fun. I'm, like I said, a proud Imperial Fist player, proud Black Templars player. I love pretty much all Space Marine chapters. I just like poking fun at one of them every now and again. And unfortunately for me, the Crimson Fist tend to be the butt of many of my jokes. This should in no way reflect the true feeling of them. They are, of course, a loyalist-ish Space Marine chapter, and anyone that does collect Crimson Fists or are looking at this video thinking that they look pretty cool and I might want to play them myself, then of course, feel free, make your own judgments on what they're like and how they fight and how they act. If you have any other feelings about Crimson Fists that you want to share, you want to put it in the comments below and try and dispute some of the accusations that I have thrown in the face of Crimson Fist players, please do reach in and help me out. Maybe you can change my mind, make me love them a little bit more, but so far it hasn't been kind of a tough one. I do, however, think that they are a very cool looking Space Marine chapter, the Crimson Fists. The dark blue armor with the red fist is definitely very striking, especially with the iconography of the Imperial Fist symbol put on their shoulder pad in red. It definitely makes them jump off the tabletop. Their tanks look great. I have seen entire Crimson Fist armies deployed in combat before on tabletops. It does look fantastic. There's nothing I can do to argue that point. It was actually quite difficult to find any transfers for them. I know I failed with my Raven Guard video, but pretty much every other Space Marine video I've done, I've managed to scrounge some sort of transfers to work with them. And with this, I had to go to quite a bizarre place to get my hands on one. I had to go to the Space Marine and Chaos Space Marine flyer transfer sheet, which existed for a microsecond in a single random boxed game where they put a Space Marine flyer versus a Chaos flyer, and then they gave you unique transfers for that. And then that transfer sheet, which is beautiful, by the way, only ever existed in that box set. I'll show you the transfer sheet now. This is it, the Space Marine and Chaos Space Marine transfer sheet. It has so many cool like symbols and icons on it and stuff like that. But it does, for some crazy reason, have a couple of Crimson Fist transfers. So I managed to steal a shoulder pad sized one and a red Crux Terminatus to sit on the other shoulder pad. Maybe this guy's a veteran assault intercessor, hence why he has the Power Fist. We're going to add a little bit of weathering and chipping, because obviously this chapter of Space Marines is constantly getting the crap kicked out. I mean, are constantly fighting bravely for the Imperium. So they're, of course, going to have lots of weathering and battle damage and stuff like that. So the easiest way for me to add chipping damage is, of course, a little bit of sponge, a little bit of silver. Remove most of the silver off the sponge and then lightly dab at it until you add all those little chips and flecks across the arm. Very quick and very efficient to do. Adding a little bit of extra weathering to the Power Fist. Obviously, they use this thing to punch the enemies in the face, so it's going to have a little bit more weathering, a little bit more damage. I've taken a couple of still images of this guy as well, so you can see what he looks like on the tabletop. And I must say, he does actually look pretty goddamn cool, which is kind of irritating. But, well, we'll see. Maybe a small force of these may appear on my tabletop at some stage, but we'll see. Here's a couple of Space Marines I've done for this series so far, and then add in a couple more Space Marines that I've done previously on the channel, just to give you guys an idea of my backlog. You guys can check out those videos as well. Okay, guys, and there we have it. One Crimson Fist Space Marine painted up. and ready for, well, if you can call what they do, service, to be deployed on the battlefield, probably to blow themselves up. It was a fun video. I did quite enjoy painting him up. It's an interesting color scheme with the red hands and the dark blue armor. It's very close to something like my Night Lord, so I don't think I would ever paint up a Crimson Fist army for many other reasons, but specifically because I think it would be too much like painting up my Night Lord's army again, so I'd probably stay away from them. But I hope you guys learned a little bit of something about this chapter of Space Marines. Let me know what you think of my opinions on the lore down below. Let me know what other Space Marine chapters you would like me to paint. By the way, I don't frivolously just ignore what you guys say. I literally have a list, and I take these from the comments of all the different Space Marine chapters that you guys want to see me do. So I've got Crimson Fists, which literally was the first on the list, Yellow Jackets, Dark Crusaders, Attilian Spears, Red Scorpion, Size the Emperor, Minotaurs, Carcharodons, Executioners, loads of them. So I do take them all down. I do intend to keep going through these. You guys seem to enjoy this series, learning a little bit more about Space Marines. It's a nice fun one for me to do. Here is the actual last 3 Space Marines that I did. So in this new series of Space Marine, there's the first 4. And if you keep enjoying them, make sure that you keep liking the videos. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. And make sure you do ask me stuff in the comments. All of those things help push the algorithm out to more people and helps the channel grow. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.